All right, come join Kyle, John, and David as they go through what's on the playlist. Find out what's everyone's favourite at Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment. We have a few segments, to be honest. In and out points, no celebs and the gossip. Back in time, the big M's coming, attractions, what the cue. Quick checks, who'll be laughing? You abundantly. Welcome to Dual Redundancy.
Yes, welcome to Dual Redundancy, the only podcast where you hear all latest in television, entertainment news with two millennials, exactly the same opinions. I'm one of those hosts, David Allen, and another one is
John Berwick, and a third one is
Kyle Bridger. I would say that I am the House Atreides to John's House Harkonnen. Your Dave's the Imperium. He's leading this whole thing.
I don't know. I'm hoping I can hang on to my crown for these next 10,000 years.
Yeah.
boy.
Oh my God. Talk about a prequel. Oh boy. Yeah, we'll talk about that storyline with a Paul. We'll talk about another Paul in actually our first segment. I didn't plan that. And then yeah, we got some quick checks of some movies and shows and games that we've been playing and watching on our own time. But before we get there, John, what's this first segment?
In and out points.
In order out. In order out. In out.
Yes, it is in and out points. The Paul I was referring to was Jake Paul. And we're going to talk about Jake Paul and Mike Tyson.
I was hoping it was Paul Blart.
It could have been. Yeah, so 108 million people worldwide watched the recent Netflix live event, or at least 108 million tried to. They're suffering the same little issue I think we're having tonight. I'm picking. Netflix is facing a proposed class action $50 million lawsuit from subscribers who were plagued by persistent buffering and freezing glitches that caused them to miss parts of the boxing match between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. Now, a Florida resident alleges that Netflix was, quote, woefully ill-prepared for the global audience that tuned in, and the lawsuit, which seeks unspecified damages on behalf of the subscribers who had trouble watching the fight, brings claims for breach of contract and violations of Florida law surrounding deceptive trade practices and consumer protection. The lawsuit claims that viewers face streaming glitches and buffering issues throughout the event, with some completely unable to access the stream, and take issues with Netflix declining to offer refunds or discounts. A lot to unpack here. Let's first talk about maybe this lawsuit and maybe some of the buffering issues, and then we can maybe talk about the fight a little bit here. Kyle, did you watch the fight? Were you part of this 108 million that had some issues?
Yeah. And I'm kind of ashamed to admit that I watched this sham of a boxing match or whatever they want to call it. But I was gonna say, if your service cut out, it's probably for the best because this thing stunk. All right. And my service did cut out. I got the first round and then I got maybe the sixth round, but I did see the beforehand. Did you see it went viral? Mike Tyson's butt cheeks. I saw that. We got all that.
That is what crashed Netflix. That was the moment.
But yeah, I mean, it was a mess, and it was a mess even before the fight started. I was watching the undercard fights, and it was in and out, and I wasn't the only one. I talked to some few people that had similar stuff, but it seemed like weirdly not like consistent. There wasn't like some people just didn't have any problems at all, and then some people had like I had several issues throughout the night, but honestly, I don't think this guy I don't know how this class action lawsuit's going to work. Like it seems like they have no standing whatsoever, but I don't know.
I'm looking at this. I don't think there is a case here at all. Like this isn't like a premier boxing match that you paid like solely to see. You didn't
Yeah,
pay
it
like
wasn't pay-per-view.
$100 that
Yeah.
was like, oh, I'm only watching this one event. I'm paying watching just for this.
Yeah.
Like this is included in your subscription. It's
Uh-huh.
not like this is like one time only blink and you miss it event. So like that is where it's like, yeah, like sorry, but like watch the playback. Like it's still there. It's not like you missed it. Like
Yep.
so I don't think there's a case here at all. Um, but yeah, Netflix obviously is trying to get into the live space. They've had, stand-up specials, they've done Everybody's in LA, but none of these things were gonna have even close to the 108 million that tuned in. I'm even shocked that 108 million tuned in for this because it's
Yeah.
like I mean, we're John and I were talking before the show started. It's like you got one guy who's not a boxer and the other guy who's 60 years old. Did you really like what did you
Mhm.
expect to like happen here? Like like I don't know.
Mm.
It's just like but John, what are your thoughts about like just like the this whole fight, and everything going on with this?
I was gonna say, I mean, the only thing worse than having it buffering is having to sit and watch the fight. It was like they were just dancing around each other the whole time. They didn't fight. What did they connect like 4 punches total or something? Like, oh, I'm not a boxing fan. I don't watch boxing, but I can tell when like it's not a good fight. You know what I mean? So, but whatever.
Well,
But
I
yeah,
mean, yeah.
go ahead, Kyle.
No, I was just gonna say, I mean, there's been people have been like sleuthing this fight on social
Mm,
media and like
mm-hmm.
breaking down like Mike Tyson had like multiple times where he could have really gone
He
in
pulled
for a
punches.
shot and he
He pulled punches.
held back and didn't do it, and it's like, well, why? And then come to find out like they had the contract for the fights all wonky, like
Hmm.
Mike Tyson couldn't perform uppercuts, and it's like, what is going on here? It's like, why are we even bothering with this
Yeah.
when this dude, Jake Paul, like, I get it. This dude is a big dude, and people that fight claim that he's a fighter, but he only fights people that are 1,000 years old. It's
Yeah.
like, fight somebody your own age, man.
It feels like this is like a snake oil salesman
It
event.
is. It was.
Mhm.
This
Oh,
was like, yeah, like as you were saying, like with the contract, but it's like this wasn't real. Like this was like it
yeah.
got like an influencer, and you have like this like yeah
A
old man,
geriatric.
yeah, like you can't actually do anything. I think somebody might have said maybe it was you, Kyle, who was just like, it was a lose-lose for even for Jake Paul because it's like great, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, you'll either A, lost against Mike Tyson. I mean, of course, anyone's gonna lose
Mhm.
to him. Or two, oh, you actually win, but it's like, yeah, you beat a 60-year-old man.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
didn't like what's the thing here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Seneca underscore TTV in the chat. The emotional damage of not seeing Jake Paul beat up an old retired man. It's devastating. Wasn't there footage after beforehand where Mike Tyson was practicing fighting fast and all of a sudden he was slow? I
Yeah.
don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know.
they had all this footage of them training and doing all this stuff. Then they get in the ring and they're dancing around each other, not even trying to land punches. And there's like 3 or 4 times, like I said, where Mike like seemed like he was starting a punch and then like
Yep.
stopped. He just was
Yeah.
like, and it's like, why? Do something. Like I don't know. I have a feeling their contract said, yeah, something wacky like no uppercuts, no knockouts, no hard punches. I don't know. Like there's got to be something more
But
to it.
yeah, but I will not. I mean, you lose all good faith in your audience if you're Jake Paul. Jake Paul wants to do this again in the future. I'm sure with
Mhm.
another with some other
Wants that
fighter,
money.
you know.
Yeah.
But it's like I will. I'm a casual fan, and you probably got a lot of casual fans with the Mike Tyson thing. And he probably made a buttload of money. He probably doesn't need to work again in his life. But uh, I will not watch another Jake
Yeah.
Paul event. It is snake oil salesman. It's fake. I'm not tuning into this nonsense that he puts forth.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know what their next live event will be on Netflix. I guess we do know it's going to be the football games. We'll see how that goes.
I am not holding my breath. I think it's probably not going to go well again unless this is all a training ground for those type of events. But when you start getting into NFL and stuff like that, I mean, even Amazon Prime had some hiccups with the
I said,
initial NFL situation. So yeah,
yeah.
I don't know.
It's one thing to screw up this, like a dumb little fight with Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, but people will not be happy about missing an NFL game. It's
Yeah,
Christmas Day and they're not able to watch their game.
yeah.
You better be ready, Netflix. Like,
Bringing it back around to the tech stuff, Amazon has been doing live streaming forever.
Yeah.
Why is Twitch? Oh, sorry, it's Netflix. Sorry, I don't know why I was thinking it was on Twitch. Never
Yeah.
mind. But the tech's been out there forever. They can't hire the correct people to do this. It's not
we're
like
live on Twitch right now. I mean, come
yeah.
on.
I don't know why I thought Twitch for a
108
second.
million watching this, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, between all the big tech companies, the tech's out there. It's not like
Yeah.
it's this new experimental, like, oh, we're gonna try something new. Like,
But my question is, maybe they're trying to go bare bones with everything and just do the bare minimum that they need to. I mean, I don't know what the
well, obviously not.
I
They're
don't
not hitting
know.
that minimum, but yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know.
I don't know. I don't know, guys, but if you can't watch, something at home on Netflix, maybe go to the theater, watch a movie. All right. Wicked premiered this past weekend, made over $110 million domestically. And hopefully, if you guys were one of those people that were in the theaters, you only hopefully heard Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo singing. That's hopefully all you were hearing because AMC theaters posted signs and played a 30-second advisory before the film, reminding moviegoers, quote, silence is golden. No talking, no texting, no singing, no wailing, no flirting, and absolutely no name calling for any of these screenings of this musical film. All
So,
right.
can I ask a question before
Of
you go through?
course, of course.
Was that their standard no talking, no texting, no singing, or a specific one for Wicked?
I don't know if it's one of those ones like, if you go to like maybe like Alamo or sometimes like
Mhm.
even at AMC, like they'll have like the director talking, hey, thanks so much for coming in,
Mhm,
like this. I don't know if it was specific to that, but at the very least, from what I saw online, there was at least signs posted,
Mhm.
Wicked. If you're going to see Wicked, pretty much shut up. Don't
Yeah,
sing. But I don't know if it was a specific advisory for
got you.
tailored to. I mean, I'm guessing because I don't understand like this, this quote where it's like no talking, no texting, no singing. Okay, that makes sense. No flirting. Is that a Wicked reference or like why is that one of like the top
Maybe.
five things? No text, no talking, texting, singing, wailing, flirting. Those are the top five things not to do in a Wicked screening. But this tore social media in half. There's people on both sides of this. So I got to ask you guys, where do you land on this sing or not to sing in this movie theater event experience? Kyle, start us.
I think we discussed this. This would be my absolute nightmare. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of musicals, anyways. I can appreciate going to the theater and watching professionals do their thing, but if I'm going to see the movie, I want to hear the singing from the professionals. I don't want to hear,
Yeah.
some rando who doesn't know how to singing, a
Mm.
Wicked song. I don't want to deal with that. If you want to create a screening that invites that, by all means, go ahead and do it. But I want to sit there and enjoy the experience. I don't want to have to listen or even like a whisper singing, like you got somebody
Yeah.
next to you, like mouthing the word. It's, oh
Well, sometimes
God.
when you go to the movies, like I went to like a Back to the Future fan screening, like in the last year, and I got people like whispering the lines before they say it. It's like, yeah, we all know the lines here. Let the actors who said these lines
Yeah.
and popularize these lines say the lines. I don't need you to say it. And yeah, you bring up like the idea of like a special screening, and AMC did say that they have these sing-along screenings of the film that are going to be offered, in thousands of theaters starting on Christmas Day. I'm sure other theaters will probably have one maybe even earlier where it's like, oh, you can sing in this one, but or like I can't understand how there is two sides to this argument
Oh,
online.
100%.
Like it's mind because I saw people like, well, if I'm spending my hard-earned money to do this, I should be able to do whatever I want. No, this isn't
Yeah.
a concert. You are
Yeah.
watching professionals sing. I'm watching Ariana Grande, who is a singer, sing, who also had her voice mixed correctly into professional equipment, playing in speakers at the right volume and tone, versus you munching on popcorn out of key, like
You're not going to a restaurant to eat the house salad the person next to you made. Like, you want the chef salad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not the way this works. Don't
Yeah.
try and put your experience into mine. Like,
Yeah, because then it's like, oh, you're spending your hard-earned money. So am I. I didn't come to hear your concert. I came to hear this concert. It's just wild to me. And yeah, like there's not only was it like the idea of, for me, oh, like a 3-hour part one of a musical. It's like that sounds tough. But now you're telling me I would have to be in a theater surrounded by people singing along and dancing in like the aisles. No. I want,
Yeah.
if I'm gonna watch it, I'm watching it at home. That's it. Complete silence. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
But there's been a weird shift, and maybe it's just because it's getting more attention, or maybe the media highlights it more, or social media, something. But there has been a shift when it comes to the theater. I think people are just too used to,
I think it was post-COVID. I think people got
yeah,
so accustomed to
being
watching
home
stuff at home
alone
that it's
and
just
watch.
like, oh yeah, like I'll take my shoes off and I'll have my phone on full brightness and
Yeah,
it's just like, yeah, you're
it's
spending your money, but like I'm also spending my money, and like, can
yeah,
there be a little bit of a decorum here?
yeah,
Don't ruin
yeah,
it for everyone. Like, just be a civilized person. Like,
yeah.
but
It's weird. It
yeah,
is very weird. It's a weird.
yeah, it's like
I don't
becoming
know.
like airplanes. Yeah,
Even at a concert, like a concert, it's more
yeah,
forgiving. But even at a concert, when you're standing next to somebody, you're like, dude, I want to hear them sing. I don't want
yeah,
you right in my
yeah,
ear. You know,
yeah.
even
It's like, oh,
yeah.
good. Oh, you know the words. Cool. It's like,
Unless
good for
they're asking
you.
you to sing along, like
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
the
what
actual
I know.
performer. Like,
But not everything in life is interactive.
yeah. Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
And Seneca brings up, it's like I had someone next to me once watching TikToks at full brightness and full volume in theater.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
if
why?
why are you guys going to the theater if you're
I
gonna watch your
know.
TikTok? Stay home.
I
Save
think
20 bucks.
I think all of our brains are fried, and our attention spans are so bad that,
Yeah,
because I had somebody on Instagram Reels watching
yeah,
Wolverine. But then you Deadpool Wolverine or
yeah,
whatever, it was on Instagram Reels. But yeah, and then you you see these storylines where they will give plot points 3 or 4 times, and you're like, who is this for? And then
Yeah.
it's like, oh, it's for that person because they have
it's the Big
zoned
Brother
out.
effect. Every time I watch Big Brother, it's always like they explain the rules to a competition, and then the first confessional after, it's like, so the object of this game is to. It's like
Yeah.
Mhm.
we just heard it. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah. All right. Well, this Wicked movie, this promotional tour has been everywhere. Everywhere. Like, it's been so long on every show. Like, I'm watching Jeopardy and there's a category of Jeopardy of it. Then it cuts to a commercial of it. And then you're on your phone and then you get the ads on it. It's like you can't escape it. And of course, this includes toys. And this specific toy, however, remember, John, how I always ask you, like, at the end of the pod, like the exact links to certain things, certain dual redundancy sites, because I don't want to screw something up. Because if you get something wrong, it could be trouble. Well, maybe I'm just trying to avoid a wicked toy mistake. The website listed on the toy box for these Mattel Wicked dolls
Oh
does
boy.
not go to the official website wickedmovie.com,
Oh boy.
but instead goes to wicked.com, a website for Wicked Pictures, a porn parody movie site.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
Yikes.
Oh boy.
Yikes.
Well, I
Yeah,
guess the
big
site was
yikes.
quite popular, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see here. So, I let's see. This is the official bio from this article of what this website is because none of us would know this. But established in Cayuga Park, California on March 1st, 1993, Wicked Pictures was formed with a firm commitment to producing quality parody porn movies, a decision the company has stayed true to since its beginning. Wicked Pictures continues to diversify and expand its commitment to quality cinematic content through films like Black Widow XXX and Captain Marvel XXX, an Axel Braun parody.
Nice.
So,
I guess the question is, do they have a Wizard of Oz parody?
that's what I was wondering too. Does if they don't, they should be
Opportunity
capitalizing this
knocking.
right now. It should the wicked.com should immediately go to their Wicked movie parody. Like that is some synergy right there. That's the I don't know. I'm a little disappointed though with these like normally I thought these titles are supposed to have like some puns in here, but like Black Widow XXX, Captain Marvel triple like, that's not you gotta twist it a little bit here to make it something else.
Yeah.
Like with
just
cop
reminded
or
me of-
something. It has to be like a like something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
But-
just reminded me of my own mistake when this was maybe 2012, 2011. So I was trying to buy some sporting goods
Uh-oh.
and I
You
went
went
to
to a sporting- I was gonna say, you went to a
Dix.com
sporting-
and
Uh-oh.
they did not. That's, yeah. I think since then, Dick's Sporting Goods has
I would hope so.
purchased that URL, but not, yeah, it was not Sporting Goods that came up. That's for sure.
It's crazy that like something like this gets by
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
even like
especially
when they
when-
like maybe even before they printed it, it's like okay, but like once it's like
Mhm.
printed, there was not one person because I'm sure there's some kind of standards and practices, even though I was like reading these
Yeah.
things like through legal. It's like we got to make sure we've cleared all this stuff. We've cleared the copyrights for the likeness of this person and with Universal because of this movie. But it's like, all right, let's check if we cleared this. And it's like, wait, what? Like,
Isn't there somebody's job to be like the actual copywriter who like
yeah,
verbally or visually checks everything? Like,
Yeah.
it would-
I don't
guess it-
know.
But oh boy, well, yeah,
Yeah.
that's one,
How
I
could it
guess,
get worse?
marketing site that they didn't buy and take control over. But I don't know. I don't know. But one more in and out point tonight. We're going to talk about a movie, not a movie from Wicked Pictures. A movie that aired on Qantas Airways, an Australian airline. They had to issue an apology after playing one specific movie on all of its personal screens amid technical difficulties on a flight from Sydney to Tokyo. This film was an R-rated film starring Dakota Johnson and Sean Penn called Daddy-O. Now, I'll give a little plot synopsis of Daddy-O. Daddy-O is a wicked porn parody. No, Daddy-O is an intimate drama that plays out almost exclusively during one long cab ride, wherein the driver, Penn, offers sage advice to a young woman, Johnson, who comes to a crossroads in her personal life. Now, while this movie is not particularly graphic or disturbing, its plot does hinge on sex, exchange between Johnson and her lover, an older unseen married man who she unfortunately refers to as Daddy. These sex include flashes of full frontal male nudity and a woman's bare chest. So, yeah, so every screen on this flight was watching Daddy-O.
Wow, man. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know what to say about that. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Doesn't this happen every now and again? I feel like we've had this before.
Well, I feel like there's always
the
something where it's
theater.
like a movie theater where
Yeah.
it's like, oh, like I want to see Winnie the Pooh, and then it's like, oh, here's Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey or whatever, like that
Wasn't
slasher
it
movie was.
One of the Minions movies they played like some rated
Oh,
R
I
movie or
think I
started
remember
like
that,
like
yeah.
years ago or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, what boggles my mind with this one is we got some more details from this Entertainment Weekly article, and they learned that the incident occurred on after the flight experienced a technical glitch that made individual entertainment selections impossible. So the flight crew took several requests for a movie to play for the entire passenger section, and ultimately made its selection for this movie after several passengers asked for it. After the movie's graphic content became apparent, the flight crew first attempted to fix individual screens for passengers who do not wish to view the movie. But once that effort failed, the movie was switched to a children's movie for everyone on the plane.
Yeah, I was just
So it was a
thinking that.
choice.
Yeah. But so I guess, yeah, so there was a choice. I guess several people picked this movie. But here's what I'm calling BS on this. How did more than one person even know that this
Yeah.
movie existed?
Yeah.
I've never heard of this movie, and I host an
Yeah.
entertainment podcast. Like they somehow got the majority. Like you would think on the plane, it would be like, all right, what movies you gotta want to see? It's like, how many people are saying Daddy was the first choice? You're gonna hear people like, Forrest Gump, just
Yeah.
Captain Marvel. Like they're gonna name like
Yeah.
Yeah.
popular movies, Joker. It's like they're not saying Daddy-O. Like it's like no one's ever heard of this movie. So how
Yeah.
did like more than one person even
Yeah, you're right.
get a majority on this?
I was even thinking, like, if this pops up on your screen and you're like, hey, this isn't the movie that I wanted, aren't you being like, hey, what's going on here?
Why is this even a choice in general? It's a public space, more or less. Like,
Yeah, because
But
it should
there's
be like a
R-rated
flight. Either it's R-rated films, but aren't there like sometimes like the plain versions? Like, if you're
Yeah.
watching, I don't know, Borat or something, you're not gonna have the naked wrestling fight,
Well,
on
I
the
don't know.
screens, right? They like cut it or at least like,
No,
blur it.
I,
And
I
wasn't that
don't
like a
think
whole thing with creators? They got like all these who was it? Adam McKay and Judd Apatow were all pissed that like you're cutting our R-rated movies for airplanes, and
is that true? I don't know, because
I don't know.
I've been on a couple of flights where they have
Well, on
said like
Spirit Airlines, anything goes,
Yeah.
Kyle.
I just don't get it in a enclosed space that will most likely have children or people who don't want to see this. Like, what if the
Yeah.
person next to you is watching this and you don't want to see it? Like, there's no way
No.
to avoid seeing it. Like,
I know. I think on the couple of flights that I've been on, with R-rated movies, they've been like, "Oh, this is
Yeah.
like R-rated content. Beware of people around you."
Mm.
And I'm trying to remember if they showed.
Because I'm curious about like the nudity and sex, because I obviously like with your headphones on, you can listen to whatever,
Yeah.
language that they have. But like, yeah, like if it's something like, like a sex scene or, like someone's head being cut off, it's like, well, wait a minute. Like
yeah,
you
if
got
you're
a
sitting in
child is next to you or something, but
if you're sitting in an aisle seat, I bet you could probably see like 8 to 10 different screens. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
looking down the aisle and someone's next to you and the people in front of you. Like it's you ever like I just don't get why this is a choice. Like
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, whoever's taking the next flight, this is, whether it's, it's you guys or one of our listeners in the chat, definitely do this research for us. Watch Daddy-O. And
The
tell us
daddy,
if
yeah.
this-
Request it.
yeah. Tell us if you're seeing all these sex and full frontal and stuff. But maybe it's because it's a flash, or maybe it's because nobody cares about Daddy-O. So like this one, like for standards and practices, was like, yeah, okay, just let it go through. Like
Yeah.
it's
They're
in a
just not
cab.
sure what's
Like
in
what
it
are
'cause
they
they haven't
doing the
seen
whole
it.
time? Yeah. But all right. Well, on that note, that's it for In and Out Points. Let's now talk about a brand new show based off of a movie, not Daddy-O, not Wicked Pictures. It's Dune Prophecy. Let's go back.
We're back, baby.
Gotta get back in time.
All right, the series premiere of Dune Prophecy, The Hidden Hand. Let's see, it dropped on Max and on HBO on November 17th. I believe at this point, 2 episodes have aired. We're going to focus on the first episode here. Set 10,000 years before the events of Dune, the series follows 2 sisters or 2 women as they combat forces that threaten the future of humanity and establish the fabled sect known as the Bene Gesserit. All right, so I'll start off front here. I have seen both Dunes. I am not a Dune expert, so take that with a grain of salt. I know Kyle has seen both Dunes, I think a couple of times, but
Yeah.
still not like a full expert.
Yeah.
But I don't know where John.
I don't know about the books. Anything.
I saw the first one. That's it.
Yeah, he saw the first one. Okay, so
You haven't seen Dune, the second one?
No, not yet.
I will say,
Oh man.
John, I didn't love Dune the first one. I like Dune 2 a lot better than the
Okay.
first one, so maybe
All right,
check out
good to
Dune 2. But anyways, we're talking about Dune Prophecy tonight. and it's a new show on HBO. So let's start off with Kyle. What did you think of this series premiere?
Oh boy, I'm stuck between two minds. This feels like it wants to go in the right direction and is trying to stay, I guess, somewhat true to the whatever story is behind, maybe in the books. I don't really know the full scope of it, but it feels like there's a CW show lurking underneath. That's what it
Oh
really
boy.
does feel like. It just feels like with Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya, you have like they're models, but their acting comes through. And
Yeah.
here it just feels like we've got like these models, beautiful people, but their acting is horrible.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um I did not love the acting. It was to me not good. We get a whole bunch of exposition in the
Oh my
beginning.
God.
It felt like it almost was like a joke with the subtitles of like, and then before, and then it's 50 years later, but
Mm.
that's 30 years before this, and it's 90 years later after that. And I'm like, what is happening here? It was just all felt a little disjointed to me. I know it's trying to catch you up on a bunch of, probably storylines that are in the book. But yeah, toward the end of the show, toward the end of the episode, excuse me, I was getting more involved in it. But to me, it was like they took a very cool thing from the movie, and now we've just analyzed it and made
Yeah.
it bad.
Yeah. I agree a lot of what you're saying. Yeah, that opening felt like a homework assignment to me. Like it was just like there was so much telling and not showing. And instead, we skip past what we don't see in the Dune movies, like like the War of the Machines and all this like exciting stuff. Instead, we get like this material that is like so close to the movies, but as you're saying, it's almost like a knockoff version. Like I felt like
Yeah, yeah.
it felt like to me a lot of this was like we're going through the beats, we're painting the numbers. It's just like like these actors are just going through the motions of what a Game of Thrones meets Dune show would be.
Mm,
And like it's like a lot of these beats I feel like we've seen before. It's like, oh, like a young boy marrying an older princess for the purity of the bloodline. And like all this stuff was just like like as you mentioned, like the cast didn't really excite me. It's like they were
yeah.
very bland. It's like at least like with House of Dragon, it's like Patty Constantine, Matt Smith, Amelia Alcock. You have these like really like performances that like shine through with these characters. But like to me, it's like outside of this like looking pretty good, like you spent some money on this pilot at least. I don't know how long they're gonna keep that going, but
Uh-huh.
like I don't know. I mean, like the music, you could tell me it's from House of the Dragon, and I would believe you. It just felt very like,
Mm.
oh, like we're making this show. What do we have in the closet? Here's some old costumes and some music from, season 2 of this show. Like, all right, let's put that in
Yeah.
here because like
Yeah.
what doesn't make sense to me is like so the beginning of the episode, we jump 30 years after that first quarter of the episode, and we're
Uh-huh.
still 10,000 plus years from the birth of Paul Atreides. Like
Yeah.
that is way, way too far for us
Hmm.
to care and see like what happens here will influence something later. Like civilizations start and multiple times in 10,000 years.
Yeah.
And these people have the same exact like tech, clothes,
Uh-huh.
lingo. Like
Yep.
in 10,000 years, nothing changed. It's like it's
Yeah.
very, I don't know. So I have a lot of nitpicks and just things that it just felt like fine. Like it just felt like maybe if you're really into this world, you'll like it, but it just felt like oh, I just wish I wish I was watching the movies.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I feel the same way. I was like, I wish I was watching the movies.
Yeah. Yeah. And John, I don't know. I mean, you saw the first movie. I don't
Hmm.
know, what did you think of this of the TV series of it?
Well, you know me. I typically, when we have something like this, if there's an episode or two, I'll try and watch multiple
Yeah.
episodes. I think we have a first tier where I think I only watched half the episode for this and
Oh
said,
wow.
I'm out. It didn't catch for
Wow.
me. It felt, as much as I had confusion about Game of Thrones not being able to follow people,
Yeah.
I was completely lost with this. There was obviously that like one or two characters that went through the whole thing, but there was just so many new people, so much, and I'm already, sorry, Dune people, I'm already so removed from Dune that I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on. That like I never read the books or anything, so I don't know what this backstory and how it relates to the movie, which I already don't know very well. So it was just, it was worse than homework for me. So I was like, you know what, I'm out. If we find out that this turns around, and one of the things I liked about that Obi-Wan thing they had was how it dovetailed into what I knew of Star Wars so well. If this can turn around and dovetail into the rest of Dune in a way that makes sense to me, not knowing a ton of
They
Dune,
got 10,000 years to get through, though.
yeah,
Like,
maybe I would consider revisiting it. But for me, I think it's a little too much homework and extrapolation to figure out where this fits in the Dune world for me to enjoy it. So,
yeah.
nah, not for me.
Yeah. I mean, I think they took like the cool part because like the Bene Gesserit, I think what was like interesting about them in the movie was they were like this secret society. They were mysterious in a way. You kind of knew a little bit about them, but not the whole thing. And now that we can see the sausage being made, it's like, oh, they're going to class and they're trying to. It's like this isn't cool anymore. This is a little bit silly.
Yeah, the peek behind
But
the curtain didn't make sense. Can I ask you about that class real quick? So they had
yeah.
like this test. Maybe I missed some dialogue, like zoning out, but like, so it was like pretty much like, see if you can tell if these con artists and convicts are truth tellers.
Mhm.
And all the students pretty much found them as, yeah, like they're lying. And it's
Mhm.
like brilliant. You guys
Yeah.
nailed it.
Yeah.
Like, did I miss something? Like, did they at least say, like, hey, like we put one good person in the mix of these 10 bad people, try to find them or whatever? And it's like, no, it was just like, yeah, these people you told us are liars, lied.
I think the only thing that they were trying to get from that is that the one character that's like the empathetic one
Mhm.
could tell later on. You see her talk with the other truth knower or
Mm.
whatever, truth say, and remember how she told her story, and it was like, oh, it's all like fake or a lie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But then there was like the empathetic one was like, oh, there was some truth to that, and
Mm.
I do know that, and I think that's what they were trying to get
Oh, okay.
across. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it just yeah, the acting and the some of the choices for that. And Dave, I mean, you mentioned that you like you feel like they did put money into it, and I think they did too. But
Mhm.
even something like the fight scene
Mm.
with the choreography with the when they're fighting, it looks
So
slow, and
Oh,
bad.
yeah.
then
Well, I think
the
it's like it comes like
imaging
with like
didn't
some of like
match.
the direction and stuff like that, where it's like what I'm trying to say, like with this, it's like it's not like it's an SNL skit, kind of like backdrop. Obviously, it wouldn't be that way, but like we've seen some really bad CGI stuff like
Mm.
that. And also, I'll admit, I also watched it on my phone on a train ride, so like maybe that also helped as well, really compressing it down
Yeah.
to my Game Boy Advance. But I don't know, I just like it's like I think it's because one, it's a pilot, so they spend a little bit more on that. But like, there's Denny Villeneuve is not directing this
Yeah.
show. So it's
Yeah.
like that's also another thing. Like we're missing that. And like,
Yeah.
let's see what it looks like in episode 5 when we're really just all right, we're just gonna be in these classrooms now.
I
Like
know, and
that's
that's
it.
so annoying, and that sucks. It's what's gonna suck is that we're just gonna make it less cool. I mean, you have in I don't want to spoil it for John, but Dune 2,
Feel
when you
free.
got them, jet packing up over the thing, you're not having the cool stuff. Instead, we're like, I'd like to get him in the sack and truth say him or whatever. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's
Also,
just
did
like,
we
oh,
not get one of the or that like,
yeah, yeah,
we didn't get one of those the
yeah,
entire episode.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that yeah, oh man. Oh well.
Yeah, it
It's
was just
it
a little bit of a letdown,
yeah.
just disappointing. I mean,
Because they've been talking about this for a while.
yeah.
I think this was initially called Dune Sisterhood, I believe. And I believe it's just been this thing that's been, I think, since like the first movie, they've been talking about it. And it's just like, all right, that's it. And, it was supposed to be, I think, a Max original, but then, just like the Penguin and stuff, it's like Max, maybe because of the strikes and stuff like that. It's like, oh, we just gotta beef up our linear thing a bit here, make it, HBO
Mhm.
proper. And
Yeah.
but like, when you put it on an HBO Sunday night, you kind of expect a little bit more. And,
Yeah.
this isn't, I had some issues with House of Dragon season 2. Much rather be watching House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
So,
I
um,
think if you are a Dune diehard, this might be for you, but if you're a casual viewer, I think you can just forget it. I
yeah.
just don't think it's I mean, I hate to break it after one episode, but
Yeah. And again, Dune super fans, we're just, three folks here who are tangentially
yeah.
into the world of Dune here and
Mm,
there. We're not diehard, so yeah, if you like it, that's great. But just
I'll,
as like outsiders who are, trying to get into the world, just it didn't click for us. But
I'll say what David is trying to dance around. That Dune sucks, and you can at Dave on that one. No, I'm
yeah,
joking.
yeah, you can. It's at
At
Gear-O-Matic.
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, but
No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
all right. Well, that's it for Dune Prophecy. It sounds like none of us are going to be watching anymore. But let's see what we're, watching on our own. Let's do some quick checks.
Quick check.
All right, let's start us off with another thing that you can find on the Max service after you watch Dune Prophecy. You can watch the franchise.
Yeah. So I checked out the franchise. I honestly don't know why I didn't check this out sooner. So uh this series it kind of revolves around this first assistant director who's working on this movie that's part of a franchise. Um, and we see all of the inner workings in Hollywood between the actors, the below the line people, the creators, the producers, and all this stuff. And just the absurdity of trying to work on like a Disney, Marvel, DC comic level franchise. Um, and it's really, really funny at times. I mean, the things that we joke about when it comes to some of the Marvel stuff and DC stuff is in there, and some of the questions that we have, they even like bring up in the franchise about stuff.
So they're
So
listening to our episodes and
I-
stealing our lines. That's what you're
yeah,
trying to
pretty
say.
much. But what I like about this show is it gets you right into it, and it feels like the pacing is very hectic because it's trying to show all the chaos of the movie that's happening, and and it does it with a lot of moving shots, and we're on set all the time, so you're like seeing all these things in action and having to take care of multiple things at once. It's very cool. Um, there's a couple of funny moments that I want to bring up. It's like they keep bringing up this guy Shane, who's like the creator of the universe, right? So think about like your James Gunn or whatever,
Hmm.
right? And um, they're trying to create this movie, and they are shooting this scene. It has a bunch of like fishmen, right? And then they get the producer comes in, or the studio head comes in and goes, yeah, Shane just killed off the fishmen in the previous franchise just yesterday. So yeah, the fishmen have to go. And it's like, what? We just paid them a bunch of money. He's like, they gotta go. And he's like, all right, fishmen, you're gone. Just because they did like a rewrite in
Yeah.
another series, so it doesn't like link up. It's very, very funny. Um, they also have like funny moments of the movie's about Tecto, and the guy who plays Tecto is all hopped up on roids, and he's like, it's just a mess. But anyways, he has a jackhammer is like his special thing. So they're like, bring in the invisible jackhammer, and so they have a
Oh
green
boy.
screen thing, and he's like "Duh, duh, 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 duh," like pretending, and he's supposed to like fly off into space with his like invisible jackhammer, and he's like, it's cool, right? Like it's totally cool, and they're like, yeah, it's very cool. It's very, very funny. And then there's the fights between actors and being like 1 and 2 on the call sheet,
Yeah.
and like uh you just see what the first AD has to go through to wrangle all these different elements. And if you're into like behind the scenes in Hollywood, and are interested in like the behind the scenes of stuff, it's very funny and interesting what they do with it.
Yeah, I gotta check it out. I'm always into like behind the scenes type stuff. I don't know what isn't I don't know. I just haven't checked it out yet. Reminded me, I think, a little bit too much of that the movie I saw, at least the trailer of called like The Bubble. I think it was like a Judd Apatow movie. It was like making like a superhero movie during COVID, and it just seemed like I don't know, like will the jokes be like too basic? And I was like I think worried for that. But then I should remember like this is Armando Iannucci who did Veep.
Mm.
So it's like okay, like I liked that. Sure, Avenue 5 wasn't my cup of tea, but like Veep is so good. And you look at the cast, I mean, Himesh Patel, Aya Cash, was it Billy uh
Billy
Magnuson?
Magnuson.
Magnuson, like
Yeah.
he's always funny and stuff. So it's like
Yeah.
you got a great cast here. So
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out. But
Yeah, I do think it's worth checking out. There's a lot of like funny moments, and it does get you right into the show. I think it's worth checking out.
cool. All right, so that's the franchise on HBO. I'm going to talk about a movie, and this movie is called Anora. It started showing in theaters last month, and it's from writer-director Sean Baker, who recently did The Florida Project. This film follows the relationship between a Brooklyn exotic dancer, played by Mikey Madison, and the son of a Russian oligarch. Now, the best way to describe this is a line I've been seeing floating around online, and it's Pretty Woman meets Uncut Gems. And when watching it, I was like, oh, this reminds me a lot of Uncut Gems, just like how I think real the people talk, the yelling. It thankfully wasn't as like scary, tense as like that like stomach feeling, when you're watching Uncut Gems. It was just as frantic. It was just as wild. There was like one moment that was a bit uncomfortable at first until you realize it's not going to be as violent as something you would probably see in or definitely saw in Uncut Gems, but like it became this long comedic set piece. And just it became one of those like escalating like what could go wrong in the scene up here? Yep, it's going wrong. It's going wrong. It's just like, of course, dumb decision, dumb decision. And there's a lot of characters specifically that you see that it's like there's like the son. It's like you're constantly saying, "Oh my, this guy, oh my God," it's like that
Oh no.
kind of thing. But I'm trying to keep as vague as I can here because it's like I'm really curious to like what you guys, if you end up seeing,
Yeah, I
especially
do
also
want to
like
check it out.
with like the ending because I feel like tonally what we see for about like three-fourths of the movie changes, I think, kind of completely towards the end, specifically the last scene. It's like something that was maybe more fun, upbeat, kind of wackiness in the beginning changes a bit at the end. And I'm curious, what the actual thesis that, Sean Baker was trying to say with the film. But I think it's gonna be one we're gonna be talking about for a bit. Um, if we look at award chances here, it won the Palme d'Or at Cannes, which is kind of like their version of Best Picture. And it's not 1-to-1 with the Oscar, but it's been helping with nominations these last few years. Last few years you had the past Palme d'Or winners, Anatomy of a Fall and Triangle of Sadness, get nominated for Best Picture, but Parasite won both. So and right now Gold Derby has it ranked as number one for Best Picture, for
Wow.
the win. But to me, it feels a bit premature. I think it's such an audacious, raunchy film that like I'm not sure if the older Academy is gonna go in on it. Plus, is it peaking too soon? Because it's like we
Mm,
still got months to go. Like
yeah.
it's November and this thing's been like the favorite to win since September, and it's like, so we'll see. I could definitely see a nomination for Best Picture for the film. The star Mikey Madison. I think this is like a star-making movie for her. Of course, she's been in other things, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and stuff like that. But this is the one that's really going to make a name for her. And I think the ensemble I really like. I'm really hopeful that the ensemble of these just when you see them, you're like just like the whole group look apart. I've tried to keep it as vague as I can. But the whole ensemble, I'm hoping they get a SAG nomination. But yeah, so that's Anora. It's out in theaters, and yeah, I would recommend it. It was
still out,
a fun
though,
one.
right? It's
Yeah,
still
I
out,
believe so.
yeah.
It's probably one
Okay.
of those ones that was like came out in October to like two theaters, and then it's like
Okay.
10, and
All right, cool.
but yeah. All right. John, finish up the night here. What do we got? We did a
Sure.
TV show, we did a movie. You got a game?
I've got a game. It's Factorio Space Age. And so Space Age is actually the DLC, downloadable content and expansion for Factorio. So I'm going to kind of talk about both, but specifically this Space Age expansion came out in October. The devs gave me early access to it and a copy of it for free, which was very nice of them. But Factorio is one of my bigger Vice games. I absolutely get sucked into this game, and there have been times in the past where I've streamed this for 12, 14 hours straight and just played it and been like wanting to do more but having to stop because I need to be an adult. The premise is basically, and I'm going to play a little bit of video in the background while we talk just to set it up. You're making a factory, and so you start out with nothing, and you start out by gathering some raw ores and stuff, and you can turn them into machines that will mine for you, and then turn those into through furnaces into plates, and you can combine them into all sorts of different things. You can make factories that make other things. You have to defend against some of the species that are on this planet. And the main goal
I think this is Dune Prophecy, right?
Yeah.
Might be.
Your main goal is to build your base bigger and launch a rocket into space. And so you do that in the base game. That's not all that difficult. So people generally try and do a certain amount of research per minute, which is like a kind of a currency you can spend to unlock new things. And so you make your base bigger and bigger and bigger. And so up until a couple months ago, we had the base game. And then this expansion came out. And so I've been playing the expansion now after not playing for 3 years because it was taking up too much of my life. I'm back into it. And what happens with this expansion is they added a bunch of other planets. So now instead of being locked on this one planet, you can go to a different planet, and it almost resets back to, I don't want to say ground like zero, but you land on this planet and you don't really have anything. You can still access your original planet via like radar, but you can't go there to build things. So you can have your robots build things and send stuff over sometimes, but you land on this new planet and you're almost back to nothing, where you have to rebuild a new base in order to be able to launch to go back to another planet or to the original planet. And what's nice about this is all the recipes of what it takes to make things and how you make things are different on every planet. So on the home planet, you might mine some material and put it in a furnace, but on like the volcano planet, you have to use some of the lava in combination with other things in order to make some of these base materials. So it kind of takes your knowledge of the game and it wipes some of the details and changes them, but that core gameplay loop is still there, and it's been so like encapsulating in my mind. If you're a fan of anything like Dwarf Fortress or RimWorld or there's one more I'm thinking of. Any of those kind of like simulation-y kind of base building games, you would absolutely love this. Oh, Satisfactory is another big one. I would definitely recommend it. There is a demo. The demo's a little outdated, but it still gets the core principles across. I think I'm like 60 or 80 hours into the base I'm working on. I've been to 2 planets, and there's another 4 or 5 to go to. So there's a lot to do, and I feel like I'm not explaining it well, but it's just like,
I could see how it could get addicting. It's like Sim
Yeah.
City, but like
It's like
Yeah.
SimCity, yeah.
Sim universe. Like,
yeah, and so you're building everything. So you can see like in the video I'm showing, there's trains going by, and you build all the tracks, and you build all the junctions and you tell the trains where to go to pick stuff up and bring it back. Or you can use, there's a whole logic system, so you can make it so that the trains only go when it needs more of a certain item, and that way they're not just constantly running. They can kind of be a little autonomous and do what they want. There's space platforms that you can build to be able to go from one planet to another, and you know, while they're going, you have to collect asteroids and make a little mini factory on the space platform in order to make fuel and to defend yourself. And there, it's just, I don't know, it itches something in my brain that is so like basic that it keeps me so enraptured.
Isn't that like the whole thing with like, I mean, back in the day, the older generation, like with their train sets and just
Yeah.
like making all like their model, like this
Yeah.
is a 21st century version of that. It's building these little like worlds and railways and everything.
Yeah,
Um,
it all links together, and so like there's a whole fluid system where you can mine crude oil and you can turn that into light, heavy, and petroleum oil, and then you do that and you make all three at once, and then you have to figure out what to do with each one, because if you don't use one of them, it backs up and it'll stop the plant from making anything, and so you kind of have to figure out how to balance the three different types of oil, and you know, maybe you can make solid fuel for your trains out of any of them, but it's more efficient to make it out of this one than that one. So like, do you make your heavy oil into light oil because it's more efficient? Like, there's a lot of stuff, and again, there's that whole logic system. So you can say, if I have a tank that's full of this one, turn on a pump that will turn this into a, you know, like there's just so much you can do, and it as you go, you upgrade your base. You have all these different belts that you can put items on, and they have different speeds, and you have different speed of like assemblers and all this stuff, and it's just I don't know. I can't explain how much it grabs my attention. I mean, this weekend I streamed it for 12 hours. I played, and it was just like my life didn't exist for a day because I was playing this, and I had a great time. But yeah, it's just it just sucks me in.
And
Crazy.
we'll share some of the links to those streams in the show notes as usual. Like so definitely check that out if you want to watch. You have the full 12 hours to watch.
Yeah.
All
If
right.
you want.
There you
I mean,
go. That could be your Saturday project, folks. You can watch what John did for a full Saturday. But all right. Well, oh man. Well, that is it for tonight's episode. That's it for Quick Checks. That's it for everything we got. We have 2 shows left for 2024. We're gonna talk. We're gonna try to see Gladiator 2. And we talked about Wicked a little bit tonight. We'll talk about the other part of Glicked. I hate how they're doing that with the Barbenheimer. Glicked. That's what we're calling this, I guess. But we're Gladiator 2, and then it's What We Do in the Shadows final season. So we'll do a check-in on that, just because we won't be around for the series finale. But after that, we got the yearly wind down, an annual tradition here. Of course, where we ask what were your favorite movies, television shows, and pop culture moments from the past year, and we reveal the results. And before we get, we can do that, we have to get the results, and that means voting is now open. So, we're going to post a link. It'll be in the show notes. It's on our link tree. It'll be on social media. But, check it out. It should take, a couple of minutes. But vote for your favorite movies, TV shows, and pop culture moments from the past year. And we'll reveal them in a special live show that we're going to close out the year with in just a couple of weeks. It's hard to believe we're already at that point. It's a busy week, with the holiday, with Thanksgiving. Of course, you have a lot of shopping deals going on this week. Looking for a fun stocking stuffer? Need a new wardrobe for 2025? Sure to check out the Dual Redundancy merch store, www.wicked.com. Just kidding. Don't do that. Don't do that. If you jumped ahead from the first segment, don't do that. But anyways, we got hats, we got shirts, we got mugs, stickers, everything on there. You can find that again on our Linktree page, but it's also at bit.ly/drmerch. DR merch is in all caps. But again, it'll be in the show notes and stuff like that. But all right, until next time, I'm David Allen.
I'm Jeff Berwick.
And I'm Kyle Bridger.
I'm going to thank all you guys and close it out, because I did it out of order tonight. Goodbye, everybody.